Yep. Hi, Gerard Nkosazana. I think we are ready to go.
You can go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep. All right. Hi, Gerard Nkosazana. I think we are ready to go.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome again to another edition of a very exciting evening.
Thank you. Yep. All right. Hi, Gerard Nkosazana. I think we are ready to go.
All right. Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome again to another edition of a very exciting evening.
Thank you. Yep. All right. Hi, Gerard Nkosazana. I think we are ready to go.
All right. Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome again to another edition of a very exciting evening.
Thank you. Yep. All right. Hi, Gerard Nkosazana. I think we are ready to go.
All right. Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome again to another edition of a very exciting evening.
Thank you. Yep. All right. Hi, Gerard Nkosazana. I think we are ready to go.
All right. Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome again to another edition of a very exciting evening.
Thank you. Yep. All right. Hi, Gerard Nkosazana. I think we are ready to go.
All right. Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome again to another edition of a very exciting.
Apologies, everyone. That's what is the life of technology. You'll always have those glitches. We've realized that we were streaming and then we haven't switched on the volume. Nkosazana, up to you.
Okay.
Over to you.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome again to a very exciting edition of the Africa Women in Leadership Digital Leadership Series webinar. And today we have a very exciting guest, Eki Mechana. Na, as an African child, I would prefer to call her, but professionally, Dr. Chana Pilani Mojage. He was the Deputy Minister of Public Service and Administration from 2018 till May 2019. And she is a member of Parliament since May 2014. She holds a doctorate degree in literature and philosophy, imagine. And she also has a master's degree in social sciences from the UKZN, or in her time it was still known as University of Natal. And she holds a degree, a bachelor's and an honors from the University of Limpopo. And she also has a diploma from Stanford University. May has been the CEO of the Commission of Gender Equality, and now she also has been sitting in the bilateral program for between European Union and South Africa, which is known as the EU Foundation for Human Resource in South Africa. And our host, obviously, is our beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Uz Veronica, and she will be taking us through this. Please be welcomed, and we apologize for the glitch that we had. This is a series between like a partnership between AMI, Smart Digital, and BMF. So I'll take it over to Veronica to take over from there on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nkosazana. And once again, apologies for the technology glitch. It's not acceptable, but those are the things that we live with in the digital era. This session or this program has been brought to you by African Management Institute, Black Management Forum, and Smart Digital Solution. This is an amazing collaboration where we speak with women who does amazing things in their various sectors. And today we have another amazing woman, Dr. Chana Majake. And I just want to tell you that I've got a history with this woman because we were once in the same class doing MBA at the Gordon Institute of Business Science. So Chana, welcome. Is she muted?
Thank you, my classmate. And I'd like to just say hello and good evening to everybody that's been connected. And to say that, thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure for me to actually participate on this virtual platform. I must actually say that it's always good to become part of activities that actually try to help push the agenda for women forward. I do really appreciate that.
Thanks, Dr. Chana. Thank you very much. And we really appreciate for making time to speak to many amazing women and many men who are on the platform. And to them, we want to say welcome. Feel free to ask questions. There's a chat button there. Ask questions on the line. We've got Mr. Gerard Lafleur. He will be taking all your questions and making sure that they are all asked to Dr. Chana Majake. Doctor, please tell us about yourself. Who is Dr. Chana Majake?
Nkosazana has just actually given a brief background about who I am. But I'm a mother, a member of parliament, an activist in politics, and a gender activist also. And my gender activism actually began long ago when I actually was busy with issues of children and realized if you don't empower the mothers, we can never be in the position to actually provide any meaningful service for the children. But all in all, like you said to me, today's discussion is supposed to actually be focusing on how we actually, all ourselves, really contribute towards making the country to run, which is something that we appreciate, especially ourselves who are in government, who are in the leadership of running the country, because we do believe that nobody can actually manage to do it all alone, whether in government department or wherever. It should be an effort of all citizens of South Africa. And this is why in my paper, because once I'm on this platform, I become part of you. I keep on saying, we can. And when I'm saying we, it means I'm actually associating myself with you and your cause. And you have actually indicated that on the platform, we will have women who are activists, women who are professional, women in digital leadership, which is quite exciting. Because one thing that is important is for us as a country to manage to have capabilities, different types of capabilities that can actually manage to carry us through in terms of development and advancement of this country. Program Director, let me congratulate the team on this good initiative. Women issues are not only about fighting GBV. The girl-child issues are not only about distribution of sanitary packs. Broadly speaking, consistently, we must follow the global agenda towards emancipation of women. We must not tire, because the driving force that historically made women to be subservient to men and boy children they have given birth to still exists. Our point of reference in driving forward the agenda for women should always be the 12 critical areas of concern as identified by the 4th World Conference on Women. Without going into boring detail about all those areas of concern, even if they are interrelated and why they are important towards improvement of the status of women, I would like just to zoom into one labeled Women, Economy and Technological Advancement. This area of concern relates to the topic of the day. Our topic of the day is African women in digital leadership. We must ensure that women can contribute fully and benefit from the economy. We must promote women's ability to secure decent jobs, own land, accumulate assets, and influence institutions and public policies, determining growth and development. And when we talk about women in business and talk about public policies, most of the time when they talk about investments in the country and the situation in the country and stability in the country, you hear people talking about policy certainties. We must make inputs into those policies. Coming from our knowledge and understanding of the sector, coming from our knowledge and understanding of what is required in order for South Africa to manage to promote and advance business, we should actually become part and parcel of processes that are actually developing policies. So inputs into lawmaking processes is of paramount importance. Women must be successful and active players in business, making digital leadership inevitable. So today's focus is on technological solutions in digital leadership to fast-track growth, development, and advancement of South African society. Women must as well lead in this regard. This is stepping up the game to move with times towards the 4th industrial revolution that is revolutionary technology. Digital technologies are electronic tools, systems, devices, and resources that generate, store, or process data. Well-known examples include social media, online games, multimedia, and mobile phones. Digital leadership, therefore, is a broad term that encompasses a number of sectors in society, such as economy, politics, decision-making, governance, peace, and security. This technological revolution entails production of innovative ideas to improve on business modalities through new ideas that bring into play game changers to the norm, helping to build more viable and profitable business for women. Innovation must embrace, for example, coding or programming that creates instructions for computers using programming languages that can be made to talk to every single business in a language that will step up the game. Imagine having a business that utilizes drones, that moves from one spot to the next in a split of a second, as compared to a hired driver in a car that gets stuck in traffic jam. We are really dreaming, and it's dreaming, and it will happen because already we're using those drones. We must digitally rearrange our economy for better yields. I do believe that government will be ready to support such initiatives because it is in the interest of government to have performing at a higher and improved level of business so that there can be improved gross domestic product that impacts on inflation of the country. Government continue to believe that business is performing well. Business performing well is a tool towards helping to eradicate poverty. Through improved communication technology that speeds up business engagement, business growth challenges will be a thing of the past. Also, communication technology, well utilized, can improve health interventions, such as telemedicine to prevent unnecessary deaths where there is no easy access to medical experts. Such initiatives must be supported. Digital leadership capabilities like data programming, connectivity, artificial intelligence, and process automation, amongst others, are but all solution-driven. Did you know that 5G will actually go beyond you from your office desk watching your children playing in your home to you preparing dinner for them? Those are the advances that we need to actually embrace and manage to move with as we move into the future. With robotics and artificial intelligence, you might step up the game and even get the nanny robot. We live in an era of what is called big data. It is incumbent upon women to know how to benefit from this development in a way that steers them forward. Let us all build ourselves in a way that builds the country. That is called, for us who are in business, social responsibility. Social responsibility is important because as we grow, we need to actually understand the importance of plowing back. And that kind of social responsibility is something that gets rewarded by the taxman through tax returns. Girl children and young women must be mentored to manage to journey with women in digital leadership. Whatever women do, they mustn't actually leave girl children behind. They must be mentored, incubate their businesses to make it possible for them to develop wings and soar. Because they can't do it on their own, overnight to see them becoming successful. But don't let them to struggle forever when they have initiatives or when they've got innovative ideas. And those innovative ideas, what we are actually promoting today is that it must be innovative ideas that actually bring into whatever they are doing technology to make it easy for them. I've been part of Professor Marwala's hackathon observer missions, where they actually bring a team of young people into a room and a need is identified. And they are actually expected to come up with a solution, a technological solution to a problem. Something very, very fascinating if you become part of it. And it actually demands from youth that is participating, stretching their technological innovation to unimaginable levels. The hackathons were about really trying to come up with solutions, especially solutions that are going to actually assist government to operate in a way that makes this service delivery to be more efficient. We must support digital public service across government to improve on service delivery. Because currently we know connectivity challenges across government are mammoth, but they can be resolved if ourselves as technology gurus develop interest in assisting, and I'm saying in assisting and not milking government. Because, this is a very critical area. Because half the time when officials in government have got to actually procure technological services, they procure mostly what they don't know. And then you depend on honest and faithful servants of South Africa who come in a form of technology business to come in and really deliver the goods in a way that is honest, in a way that is not actually going to be overpricing unnecessarily, to the extent that you hear of these big amounts that sometimes are actually charged on little services in government. So your contribution as technological guru is to ensure that government can be better positioned to respond to needs of citizens. Whatever assistance you give to government at all times, you should actually appreciate the fact that government is not an individual, because this is our government. It's government of the people for the people. Similarly, we say parliament is parliament of the people for the people. And it's a message that we always send across to say, let's continue to run the country together. Let everybody in their own little corner try to do something to make a difference. Whatever little difference you make, actually help to make a difference in the lives of the many South Africans who are not as privileged as most of us who are on the platform. Let's be conscious of it. There is a general lack of required and appropriate software across government. And this general lack of required and appropriate software across government is actually challenging. So South Africans who are in this technological field must actually understand the importance of generating in an innovative manner software that is responsive to various types of challenges that government gets or that government encounters. And why I'm saying so is because a lot of money is actually wasted in government on purchase of licenses of software, most of them coming from overseas. Can't we actually develop software in South Africa that can be used across the board? Wherever we need services, then we'll have company, Veronica's company, developing software. We know she will customize something so that it actually responds to this that we put before them. And even today, as I'm talking to you, South Africa continues to have a challenge of connectivity across government. We must have systems that talk to each other. They don't only promote efficiency in terms of service, they become cost effective. They become the services that are actually going to be improved in terms of delivery, and they save time. Those are the areas that we need to actually be conscious of in a way that would actually assist us to know what is it that at our level we can do to assist government. And so that gone should be the days where licenses are bought and there's a contract for 5 years, and when the contract ends and is not renewed, the owner of the software picks up their software and they leave you, and you have to go and begin from scratch. Would it actually help this country to develop and advance? We are not going to actually grow and develop and advance if we keep on beginning from scratch. And the point that I'm making is that I do believe from amongst ourselves in South Africa, we have various types of capabilities. But my point of lamenting is about those capabilities not being utilized in a way that actually help to benefit the country, which is something that is a drawback as we compare ourselves with developed countries. The question each one of us must actually ask is, can ourselves tonight make a difference? Tonight, can we manage to actually identify something that you can say where you're sitting is what I think I can do in terms of being part of a process that will make a difference in the lives of South Africans? And maybe just generally speaking, we were focusing on women in digital leadership, but it must not exclude other fraternities. If you're sitting in the meeting on this virtual platform, you are a lawyer, yourself, you can still look at how you can actually make a difference. And as you make a difference in the lives of South Africans, how is technology going to be influencing your work? And of course, social responsibility for lawyers, I would actually say that you need to actually manage to become the friend of the court in cases, especially that affect the lives of women, so that you can manage to act amicus and make a difference in terms of very good, groundbreaking judgments that would actually help to transform this sector, the gender sector, and make the lives of South Africans to be better. And like I said right at the beginning, when you talk about women, it's just not about gender-based violence. For now, we're talking about women in the economy and technological advancement. There's a whole lot more issues, women in education, because when you talk about equal opportunities to men and women, but women are not ready, it means we're just wasting time. We need to actually be sure that the education system of the country is such that it empowers women. More and more women are actually brought into training programs, and there must always continue to be that bias in favor of women. So when there's a training program, we must advocate that there must be more women. It's about creating a balance, taking into consideration how women have been disadvantaged in the past. We know in families that didn't have enough resources, it used to be women who would actually be compromised when the money is not enough to take children to school. So we must level the playing field before we talk about equal opportunities to men and women. But keeping on mentioning the areas that are important, women and health, I've mentioned the whole issue of information technology and communication technology when it comes to telemedicines and things like that. It's about health, but health broadly needs to be interrogated to see to what extent is the health system of the country responding to the needs that are actually affecting women. And then you go into the environment, and then you go into the media. To what extent is the media actually portraying women? Because the problems of women can continue to be elastic depending on the kind of stories that are actually told about women. And where the stereotypical thinking about women is ourselves who need to continue to fight it. We must be worried about the girl child. And we must actually worry about the girl child, and it's not at the expense of the boy child, but it's because of the fact that girl children become women. And whatever problems they will actually encounter in future, most of the time begins when they are girl children. We must worry about just general human rights, fundamental human rights, and how human rights talk to the situation of women. In that way, we manage to, in a balanced manner, to look at the situation of women. We do know that gender-based violence is critical, and the levels at which gender-based violence is taking place in the country is a subject of concern, but that shouldn't actually encourage us to forget the agenda for women. Whatever we do in a balanced manner, we must always manage to push forward the agenda for women. Women in decision-making. In politics, who are the leaders? At some point in this country, we're asking ourselves, are we ready for a woman president? Those are the things that we still have to continue to engage on. I'm just mentioning some of these areas that are important. And when it comes to the girl child, it's not only about the sanitary packs. We must be worried today as we're sitting here. What is the girl child being taught? How exposed are girl children to technology? And how can we actually give them support ourselves? I thank you.
Wow, thank you very much, Dr. Chana. That was amazing. You covered many aspects of our society, of our government, how we should view women, how we should view ourselves, and what stories are being told about us. But most importantly, how we can support government in being effective and efficient. The COVID story and what happened in the last 6 months, in the past 6 months, we saw that, you know, that there were talks around the corruption. And when you look at the auditor's report, is that there were a lot of gaps. COVID exposed a lot of weaknesses in our system and processes. and it's technology that could have assisted in curbing some of the issues that we experienced in the last 6 months in terms of disbursement of funds and continue to provide services to our people. I will encouraging everyone to use the chat button and ask questions or raise your hand, and Gerald will spot you and will give you an access to and will give you an opportunity to ask a question. To Dr. Chana, we still have issues around financing women businesses. You know, it's a big thing, not only in IT, in other sectors as well, but in the digital space, it's bad because most of the bank have not developed a method to evaluate a technology, so a technological solution such as software. If I have to develop a software and I take that idea to the bank, they don't know how to evaluate it and fund it. You know, so some of those are some of the challenges that we do have as women in business, and we feel like the government should step in through the other funding organizations like IDC, PIC, DBSA to really look into that. Maybe you can touch on that one as well in terms of, you know, because you've mentioned that the solution is us. The solution is with us African. African problems should be solved by African people, you know, not relying on US or Europe for software and other things, and now participate in these licenses that most of the time we don't even use, but we have to pay a lot of money for. So we need to develop such solution to enable people to or government to be more efficient. We also touched on the issue of you know, we talk about smart cities, smart provinces, smart countries, smart nations, and we talk about health, telemedicine, and all that. But the challenge is that we see more software or solution being imported, brought into the country to address our social issues. How then can we or the government help us, because we've got ideas, we know how it should be done. All we need to do is to build the right capabilities and the right skills and get funding to support our government. Maybe when you respond to questions, also touch on that one. The last one also is on social justice. Yes, the issues of women, we need to balance the scale and get things right, but we've been exposed to gender-based violence, and we believe that women in this platform, some of them might have solutions, you know, to curb that behavior, a technological solution to curb that behavior. So if there are such women, what should they do? How can they contact you then to get their ideas going? Those are my questions, but I'll give everyone some on the platform an opportunity to ask questions if they've got questions. If there are no questions, then I will hand over back to you, Dr. Chana. Dr. Majak.
Is it just me and you talking on the platform? Okay. Indeed, I must actually address the COVID corruption. And I'm addressing it because, you know, sometimes the narrative in the media is what actually also sometimes make a problem to be bigger. You know, there's this thing about 500 billion that has actually been misappropriated. We don't have 500 billion that has been misappropriated. That's where we begin. There has been an Auditor General's report, and that Auditor General's report has actually identified what could be out of the 500 billion that was available, what could be problematic is about an amount that goes to about 67 billion. That this is what they were actually looking at. But out of the same 67 billion, something like 40 billion is what has actually gone into SASSA. Because we promised people that we will give them the 350 rands, and we increased the child support grant and all of that. So that actually ate up a lot of money. Where there is a big problem is UIF. And this is why the commission of UIF has been suspended. I don't know whether you know about it.
No, yes.
And this is so that area is an area that is problematic in terms of the funds, the COVID funds. Otherwise, in other areas, what is actually being questioned is compliance in terms of procurement. I'm sure you know of the stories of so-and-so got a contract. The company didn't even have a history of PPEs, but they got a contract. And this is actually attributed to the low quality material that is actually used for PPEs, which we have had a lot of people who are frontline workers complaining about. And those are some of the things that are actually also, on the other hand, being investigated by the SIU. So in the interim, there will also be reports that will be coming from the SIU, because the president has signed a proclamation on this. So there will be a full-scale investigation. And I must tell you that, sometimes we might think that corruption is there because it's us now, Black people, who are running government. And normally when I talk to people, I say it's not because there is corruption when Black people are running government. The government of the day is the one that came with systems and mechanisms that makes it possible for us to know when there is corruption and even know what to do with corruption. Previously, during apartheid, there was corruption that was never actually addressed. All these special investigation units, public protector, whatever system that you've got have been actually established by this very government, because it's a government that is serious about corruption. And you can see even today that we have people who have been picked up by hawks, and you can realize that now we are meaning business. And we must mean business, because this is the money that's supposed to be put into growth, development, and investment in the country. How are we going to grow? Are we going to actually lead South Africa to be like any other failed African state that we know? We must vehemently say no. And what I like is the interest that you've got, even if you are in private sector, because it actually also impacts on you. If government is not doing well, how is business going to be doing well? Because you still depend on the same fiscus that government has got for you to actually manage to have business. And if that money is actually channeled to few individuals within the country, it's really not going to help us, because people, some of them take such lots of monies that you think maybe we're going to be bought at some stage, because it's big monies, it's big sums of money when actually people talk about them. So that was about COVID and corruption and the 500 billion. So what I'm trying to say is that the narrative about 500 billion must change. And did you know the 200 billion of the 500 billion was actually given to banks in order for banks to give you loans? And now you're telling me that when you want to develop a software, a bank tells you stories. You must actually tell them, I need money from the 200 billion that government has actually given to you in order for you to empower me. Because what happens is that when people are looking for money, they are actually referred to banks. But you don't expect banks to become a stumbling block to us development of business, or you find that there are unfair practices within the bank. And before you even ask, there's also SAA, which is one area that is problematic, but it's actually being looked at. What is good about SAA is that we're not selling the assets. What may possibly happen is that the business will be restructured and there will be a new airline, which is a consolation, but the terms thereof are not very clear yet. One other thing is, normally when a government department is actually run and there's an executive, there's something that is called the advisory council to the minister. So look at how you can become advisory councils. You can become part of the advisory councils, because it's where you can actually manage to give ideas to the leader of whatever process you may be having interest in. Yes, social justice is important. It's important because of the constitutional democracy that we've got. We know that our constitution is such that it has liberated all of us. It has liberated all of us, and it even liberates even those that still are perpetrators or they are the violators of other people's rights. And you know that we've done away with capital punishment, and it's based on what is called the Ubuntu principle of the constitution. Is very complicated, but there must be that continuous kind of engagement, because for now we have such high levels of crime. And what you hear is people saying, we need to go back to capital punishment. But we need to engage on this in a way that actually manages to make sense. Because the intention of the decision to do away with capital punishment was not to protect perpetrators at the expense of the victims, which is what the people are saying today. They're saying victims are actually, perpetrators are more protected than victims.
Yeah.
We must engage on matters of that nature, because at the end of the day, together, maybe you can come up with technology that can help us to deal with the situation of crime today, because the crime level in South Africa is very high. Regardless of all these cameras that we have all over. If the cameras are not enough, what will be enough? How do you make children not to disappear? Because we hear people talking about the high level of human trafficking, if it's really taking place at that level, because you know there hasn't been any form of study that has actually confirmed this. So basically what's important with social justice is just developing interest and participating. And you can even have NGOs. Be part of the NGO, sit on the board of an NGO, where you can actually manage to support advocacy programs, because through advocacy programs, you can actually mobilize in an area that is an area of your interest. Lest we find ourselves having NGOs that are there to attack government. We know that NGOs are supposed to be there as the watchdog. They must hawkishly watch government so that you know power corrupts, and we all know it. And it's not only South Africa that knows it. Everybody globally, they know that power corrupts. And this is why there's got to be systems and mechanisms that are put in place to ensure that the people who are in power do not abuse the power. And that's why you need to have NGOs that are supposed to be the watchdogs. But NGOs of South Africa, most of the time are NGOs that are just attacking, because they use only the dimension of just, we are the watchdog. Even if there's no problem, we will have to go find the mistakes. NGOs should actually also assist government, because how the NGOs are supposed to be working is that where there are gaps in terms of service delivery by government, that's where the NGOs must come in. So we must begin to actually also have debates about what are the NGOs? What are they meant for? Even the kind of NGOs that we've got in South Africa, are they responding to the needs? Do we have NGOs that actually are worried about the triple challenges of poverty, unemployment, and inequality? We need to continue to ask ourselves that. But the point I'm making is that also one other thing of getting what you want sometimes is to actually run NGOs, because with NGOs, then you create a voice and you create an organized voice, because when you worry as an individual in your corner and you keep on talking about this thing, it's never going to get sorted out. You need to create a vehicle and manage to make this to happen. And when you have an organized formation, it's easy for your voice to be heard. I think I've tried to cover your questions. Did I cover everything? Veronica?
Thank you very much. Gerald, do you have anything from your side before I conclude?
I'm just looking here on our chat line. Can you carry on, Veronica? Let me ascertain this long question. Can you carry on for now?
Okay, no problem. So what you are saying, Dr. Majak, is that we have to play our part as well as women, and play our part as business people, play our part as people in this important sector that cut across every other sector. which is ICT and digital. And we need to also be part of the Minister Advisory Council. Some of the people will ask themselves, how do they then become of those part of those councils? Do they advertise? Do they just what you call approach people and invite them to sit on their council? What is normally the process? Because some people will really want to know how then they can participate in those structures. I think to get into a board of NGOs, it's not as difficult as being member of the advisory council, Ministers Advisory Council, but it's very important to sit on those boards, also to contribute to our governance system, our social innovation, whatever processes that that NGO will be taking care of. I think it's very important to do that. I see a question asked by Katejo saying
Okay.
compared to, yeah, do you want to take on that one?
Okay, I can see that one as well. It is
Mm.
saying, compared to other developing countries, less focus is on social innovation in South Africa, and when it is addressed, it is usually championed by the formal economy for CSR. There is a lot of support for Black business currently, but do the same support structures exist for social innovation entrepreneurs as for profit entrepreneurs?
That is for, I can attempt to answer that question, but I'll ask Dr. Majak to also attempt, and then I can also chip in.
Okay. What Katlego wants to know is whether there's support for social innovators as compared to entrepreneurial innovators. I think there's support for both. Because for social innovators, if you look within government department, they sit in awards. I don't know whether you know about innovation awards. They actually, it's government's way of encouraging citizens to come up with solution-oriented ideas. And basically, they may be technological, they may not be technological. Like ideas that actually makes the machinery of government to actually operate much more efficiently. You can, for example, come up with something that will actually help us to cut down on queues in departments like Home Affairs. So that we don't have, and maybe queues generally, whether it's in hospital, whether it's at the police station, queues are horrible. If you come up with something that can actually help to fast track whatever service is provided by government so that there's no queues, people get awards for it. This is what the Innovation Awards is about. There's somebody that actually came up with something that's almost like it's a whistle, but it's something that has been developed technologically for areas that are informal settlements. When a woman is attacked, and these women, they actually have to carry this gadget, and you just actually have to press the button, because it took into consideration that sometimes the danger is the man that you're sleeping with. So if you are in danger, you don't have to blow the whistle and you can see you're blowing, is going to actually take it away from you, but you press the button. And that button starts ringing on the gadget of every woman that has got it, and they come and surround your home, because now they can see that you're in danger, something like that. So basically, social innovation is very highly rewarded by government. Entrepreneurial innovation is very important, because now it's about you really stretching your imagination about the concept that you want to come up with, and maybe you already have got a concept, and half the time we know business is about really responding to needs of people, and you've got this that you think can work. And the question is whether there is enough support for it. There is enough support for it in government. You can actually source out funding from government, from Department of Trade and Industry. We know of grants that are actually given. We know about the Innovation Hub that can actually assist you to incubate your idea. It's just a matter of you knowing also how to sell your idea. And that's where the mentorship is important, because somebody might have this good idea, but they wouldn't manage to know how to navigate to really allow the idea to grow and advance and become something. But for those that have actually walked this journey, they could actually assist. And earlier when I was actually presenting, I talked about older women, really developing interest in young women, the new players, and then you mentor them, you incubate them yourself. You can incubate them. You can actually allow somebody to come and have a desk in your office, even if whatever business they're doing doesn't really relate to what you're doing, because also business is about competition. We must remember, and sometimes it might be difficult for you to have to mentor something that's actually going to kill your business. And that's why we are against collusions and cartels, and where there's no where there is a way of actually killing that kind of competition. Also, it's a problem. That's why the Competition Commission that actually kills the cartels and things. But the point I'm making is that it's very important for businesses to be incubated. Government has got the incubation hub, but even at social responsibility level, we can help, especially the new entrants and young players, to be incubated and mentored.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that answer. I'm sure it has hit the nail, and I'm sure Veronica has some more points to that as well.
Yeah, thanks, Gerald. I think any idea, every business idea trying to solve a social problem, if you look at, for example, the Facebook that we use a lot now, it started as trying to put together students, gather students together as they share about their experiences. It was just a social problem that they needed to, and later they found a way to monetize that. So great ideas are the ones that solve social issues, and those businesses are the ones that are prospering because of the need that they're trying to address. So I do believe that there's an opportunity for such innovations. As long as with the banks, you can prove that you will have customers or not people to use that particular platform, you can approach companies that are in the same sector, as long as you protect your ideas, because that's another thing that we need to talk about. How do you then protect all those beautiful ideas to make sure that you also benefit? So in another session, we'll really talk about that. I'm looking at the time.
You're not audible anymore. We can't hear you anymore, Veronica.
Okay.
It's better now. Thank you very much, Mayor. What I wanted to ask as well, or to add, it's quite interesting that government is willing to listen to the women-empowered organizations that are out there. It's good to hear from someone from government as respected as you. It's good to know that government is willing, but it's just finding the right channels to approach the government. So we appreciate your comment in that regard, but also to add that here in South Africa, yes, definitely we have organizations that are willing to assist government. So everyone should raise their hands as we move forward and hold each other and approach government in order to assist them.
Wow, what an amazing presentation. Thank you very much, Dr. Majake. Thank you, Oschana. I call you Oschana. Thank you for an amazing talk. You really opened our mind and how we should really contribute in addressing or working together with government, because at the end of the day, it is our government. We need to make sure that it works for ourselves, but most importantly for our children and our children's children, So thank you very much. And I think there are women with ideas, with solutions that they want to present to government, and we will then make sure that we connect them with you, obviously with your permission, and then we see how we take those things forward. Everyone who's on the platform, thank you for your time. Thank you.
Can I just say one thing for the group that is on the platform to
Yes, you can, Ma.
youth in Atteridgeville. Today I addressed a group of youth in Atteridgeville. They are young entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs. They need to be mentored. Anybody that wants to actually participate as a form of social responsibility is welcome to indicate so. We will actually direct you to the people that actually are working with these young people.
Wow. Thank you very much. We believe in lifting others as we rise. And thank you for that offer. We will then engage with not only people in this chat, but in our database, you know, that they could connect with young people, and especially the ones that we have identified, so that they can coach and mentor them. And if they are organization, they are in big organization that they can absorb them, that will also be great. Thank you everyone for your time, and I just want to wish you all the best and have a great evening. Bye.
Thank you, Director.
Thank you.